Uninformed immigrants are at a huge disadvantage in court, in financial and legal matters, and also sometimes in life. Well, what can we do about it? I'll tell you what. We can train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to maximize their lives regardless of their immigration status. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. I am your immigration lawyer and host, Otis Landerholm, and this is the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. All right, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. I'm your host, Otis Landerholm. Today I want to talk about LGBTQ asylum. All right? And I want to start by telling you a story. This was some time ago. I had a consultation with a gentleman from another country. I won't even say what country he was from. Okay? But let me tell you, the LGBTQ community in certain countries suffers horrible violence, persecution, bullying, nasty stuff. And this man was in my office and he was telling me, he told me that he was gay. He broke into tears just telling me that. It's like he's been made ashamed. All right, hear me. He was made ashamed of who he was all his life, his whole life. And his community, it might not be the whole society of that country, which is why I'm not going to say the country. His community and his family were just like trying to literally hammer the femininity out of him. Man up, right? Be a man, all right? Don't be a sissy. You can imagine the names and the horrific, just like twisting of you're not okay how you are attitude that this person was facing as a child. And now he's here in the United States. And the United States is at least a little bit more open-minded, all right? A little bit more open-minded. And he feels the courage. And now he's discovered, that he can come out of the closet and he can say that he's a gay man. And he can say it. Yeah, he broke down crying as soon as the words came out of his mouth. But to his credit, they came out of his mouth. He can own who he is here. But he is this was the whole consultation, right? He was so scared, so nervous, so unsure, so really terrified of what would happen if people back in his home country found out that he's gay. What would happen? And it's like, I've never been there. All right. People love me for who I am. People have almost always loved me for who I am. I don't, people picked on me a little bit here and there for silly reasons, but never to that level, ever. So I can't even imagine. And yet I have hundreds of clients that I've met with, that I've gotten to know, that are like wonderful, beautiful, amazing human beings who have suffered such atrocious, abuse. It's really the only word for it. Abuse, violence, mental shaming. All right? Not to mention physical abuse. And I won't even say it, but sexual abuse. All right? I said that, but I won't describe it. So it's like, what's the advice there? We're on a podcast that's all about being empowered. And here is a human being who's terrified to say who he is to his community, to say who he is to his family. All right. He knows what he's put up with even without saying it, just because people have been trying to stamp out his femininity as he was a young person. Well, for crying out loud, I mean, my thinking is that you can't be empowered. You can't be empowered and stay in the closet. That's my thinking. All right? I want to encourage him to come out of that closet. Be yourself. If your family doesn't accept you, if your community doesn't accept you, that is their problem. That is their issue. That is their, you know, they got to wake up. They got to wake up. Human beings are human beings. Like, you know, anyway, my thing is like, hey, live your life. Be yourself. Don't live your life in shame, ashamed of who you are. Be yourself. Come out of that closet. The light is so much better. The air is so much better outside of a closet. All right? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be yourself. And now here's the thing. All right? There are laws. There are immigration laws that in some instances can protect people. And we have fought and we have won cases that are similar. Okay? So if you are listening to me and if you are in that, if you are facing that type of threat or violence or harm because of who you are as a person, all right? U.S. asylum law can, in some instances, it's not easy, in some instances, recognize that people can suffer violence on account of their sexual orientation or on account of their sexual identity. Okay? And so sometimes we can file for asylum. Now, how does this work? How does this work? Well, remember, to win asylum, you've got to show you have a well-founded fear of persecution on account of one of 5 things. It's got to be on account of your race, your religion, your nationality, your political opinion, or your quote-unquote membership in a particular social group. So the question is, why? Why are those bad guys? Why is your community, why is your family going to harm you? Physically, sexually, severe emotional harm can count. Stigma, whatever it is. Why? Why are they going to harm you? Is it on account of your race, your religion, your nationality, your political opinion? Typically not. Sometimes, typically not. But what about that last one, quote unquote, membership in a particular social group? Well, sometimes we can argue, right, that members of that sexual identity, gay men from fill in the country, all right, or bisexual women from fill in the country, or whatever the identity is that you prescribe to, maybe there's an argument that in your country, that group, the people who self-define in that group, maybe they are targeted. And maybe we can actually document that people that self-identify in the identity that you self-identify with, or the sexual orientation that you identify with, maybe we can show documentation and show articles and show news reports and show other evidence that the asylum officer can say, oh yeah, from this part of the world, from this community, in this situation, yes, we can show that this is a warrantable, a meritable application under the asylum laws of the United States. All right. So what's the punchline? What's the bottom line here? One, if you're in that situation, one is like, I want you to be empowered. I want to empower you to be your full self. Be yourself. Be free to be yourself. All right. And it's limiting It's psychologically, emotionally limiting to yes, be yourself, but act something that you're not. All right? That's the power of coming out of the closet. You don't have to act anymore. You don't have to pretend like you're something that you're not anymore just to please somebody else. Be yourself just for who you are. And after you do that, if it just so happens that you're afraid to be that, to be yourself, when you go back to your country, then hey, talk to a lawyer. That's what we're here for. Talk to a lawyer. Let's figure out whether or not you might be eligible for asylum, because you might be. All right? You might have a strong case. All right? And don't be it's like, don't be afraid. Don't live in fear. Be yourself. And to this gentleman who I was with in the consultation, it's like, now think about the next child that's growing up in that community, who's a young boy who feels like he doesn't fit in because he's got feminine feelings, and he's getting abused and targeted and tormented because of that in his community. He'll feel like he's an alien, completely alone, nobody like him on planet Earth, unless maybe he could discover someone like you. Unless maybe he could discover someone like you who was from that community, who had the courage to say, you know something, community, wake up. We're in the 21st century here. All right? And in the 21st century, like, hello, we're discovering things about human nature. Like, not everybody is all cookie cutter the way everybody expects everybody to be or whatever. And you know something? We can value our differences, and we can learn from our differences, including different sexual orientations, sexual identities. Okay? Like, hello, wake up, world. Wake up. Be more tolerant. Be more welcoming. Be more understanding. Wake up. And that little boy who's growing up in that community, they might be abused and targeted and tolerated, and they will think that they are absolutely alone. And they will suffer in silence absolutely alone unless they discover that they're not alone. And until they discover that they're not alone. And how do you expect them to do that? I mean, get out of that closet and share it. Get out of the closet and share it. That's my message for today. All right. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was useful. I know that I'm not like, I am who I am. You are who you are. All right. I'm not gay. I'm not lesbian. I'm not transgender. I don't identify as queer. So I don't know the challenges that you face. But if I can help you in any way to face them so that you can live your life to the maximum, that is what I am here to do. And that's all I'm going to say for today. Thank you so much for being with me. My name's Otis Landerholm. You're listening to the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. I want you to be empowered. I want you to be empowered to be yourself, your true self, open. All right? Take that on. All right? Thank you. All right. We'll see you on the next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. If you like what you heard and if you want to learn more, please go to landerholmimmigration.com/podcast.